Well, hello YouTube friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the paint itself. So in today's video, I'm going to have some fun makeovers. I took some items that I shared in my last video from a shopping haul where I thrifted some items, and lots of the items that I shared last week came from the 90% off clearance sale from Hobby Lobby last year. I love their after season sales, especially when they hit 90% off. 66% is great, but 90% off is amazing. So I am going to be making over 2 pumpkins from that store, from Hobby Lobby, and then a turkey, a gold glittery turkey, you may remember if you saw that video, and then also a jack-o'-lantern that I thrifted while I was out in Louisiana. And so that's what I'll be sharing in today's video. Today's makeovers are going to be a little bit different, and this video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to show how you can take those items and get several different looks along the way. I'm going to be sharing lots of different colors, lots of paint products, different ways that you can make the same item look many different ways. And one of the main things that I really did that on was the turkey. You might be surprised how many different ways a turkey can look, but I think it turned out really great, and I ended up completely changing it many times. I don't know, 7, 8 times. And then of course I changed it at the end to go with the fall decor that I'm going to be using this year around my home, or at least that's the plan. So I can't wait to share these makeovers with you, and I hope you enjoy the process along the way. I try to share some tips and tricks as well throughout the video. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you at the end. I shared a small haul in last week's video, and from that haul I picked a few items to paint. Just a quick note, I will be going back and forth in between each piece as I allow for drying time, and I also wanted to let you know that I did work on these on and off over a few days as I had time. I started the turkey makeover with a base coat of Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. Now, I would have preferred to use a matte black spray paint for the base coat, but it was raining outside at the time I started painting this project, and I'm also trying to use up any paints that I've had on hand for a while so they don't dry up. Now, this black paint was already very thick, so I did have to add some water to help it spread easier and get in all the cracks and crevices. Next up is this thrifted jack-o'-lantern. I've shared a lot of different ways to add texture to your paint and your projects, but for this project I am using stucco patch mixed with joint compound. And no, I didn't measure, and I usually don't. And then I added a mix of 2 light neutral craft paints. Fair warning, this project goes all over the place, so just hang in there with me. So I did lose a little bit of footage showing the base coat completed on the jack-o'-lantern and also mixing up the first color for these 2 Hobby Lobby pumpkins, but it is basically a dark brown that has a little bit of a bronze metallic mixed in. I wanted to cover most of the white, but leave a tiny bit here and there. I wiped back a lot of that dark paint to reveal the original green. Here is the difference between wiping back your paint with a dry paper towel versus a damp one. It just really depends on how much product you want to remove. So you can either use dry and remove less, or if you use wet, you're going to remove a lot more. Okay, we are jumping back to Mr. Jack-o'-lantern. Here I am using a leftover mixture from a previous project. If you missed that video, I will link it at the end of this one. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I love using thick textured paint. This is what is going to give you all of those yummy nooks and crannies for your future paint layers to settle in, that is going to give you lots of depth and character. Here's a quick tip. Make sure that you use gloves that are tight on your hands, unlike the pair that I had on, which kept sliding off while I was applying this thick layer. For the first look on this turkey, I want to show you how to create a very old vintage warm wood look. You can also apply these colors over a brown base coat, which I will show you in another video. I am dry brushing the color Raw Sienna over the entire surface, focusing on the raised areas. Now you might see a few sparkles peeking through that I missed, but that's okay. I'm going to be showing you several different paint finishes on the turkey, so they will eventually be covered up at some point. Next, I brushed on the color Starlight Gold. You can really use any yellow. I do add some yellow ochre in just a little bit for highlights, but in between there, I also added back some of that raw sienna. So what you're basically doing here is applying a warm orangey brown and some type of warm yellow. Now I will do some more tutorials in the future showing you how to get different kinds of wood looks using different colors, but for this one we're just going for that vintage carved warm wood turkey look, so we're using very warm colors. While that paint was drying, I decided to add a hint of antique bronze over the green on these pumpkins, which was giving me a very strong 70s avocado vibe. I want to go ahead and apologize for the shaking and the in and out of focus of a lot of this footage. I need a new Lazy Susan and I need to put the camera in a better position. But here I am just mixing up some joint compound with some Waverly pumpkin orange paint, and I applied another layer with a paintbrush. So this layer is a thick mixture, but it does not have any of the grit from an additive that I usually put in, like sand or grout or stucco patch. It lays very nicely over the first two layers that do have that texture. Time to glaze that turkey. And we're going to be doing it using one of my favorite products. Applying this glaze over yellows and raw sienna is what creates that very warm faux wood look. This product is very easy to work with. You can wipe off or blot off as little or as much glaze as you want. Now this product does have a much longer drying time as opposed to using like a chalk paint or a wax, so plan on letting your project dry overnight. All right, we're going to have to bring these pumpkins more in line with my old world aesthetic. This chalk paint is called celery and it is a very pale green, although it may appear almost white on your screen. If you saw my haul video, you know that I purchased these last year from Hobby Lobby when their fall items went to 90% off. So they were right around $2 each, which is better than most thrift stores these days. Oh my, we are back to this jack-o'-lantern, and he appears to be getting worse. I added 2 more layers of different color oranges, and I painted the stem a dark brown, but we are going to set him to the side for now and let him dry and revisit him in just a little bit. You may remember seeing me use these next 2 products in my last makeover video. Dixie Belle Clear Wax is applied first, and then one of their dirt products is applied afterward. My favorite color of that product is ash. I will show you the other 2 colors later on in this video. You basically brush on a layer of wax, and then you brush on the Dixie Belle dirt, and then you wipe or dust off any excess after a few minutes. Okay, this actually looked a lot more like wormwood in person, but nonetheless, those little pesky glitter flakes that I could still see poking through had me thinking I should show you how to easily jazz up your existing items by just dry brushing copper or gold over a darker item that you may already have on hand, and in fact, we'll just do both. First, we're going to add Venetian gold. I did want to ask you to please keep in mind that I have a very, very bright ring light directly behind my shoulder while I'm filming all of these paint projects, so it really is affecting how the paint is looking, especially on film. Now, I think that this Venetian gold looks amazing over the existing highlights, but I do have about 15 or 20 other different shades of gold, and I really feel like any one of them would have been beautiful. I know I'm switching these projects up quite a bit along the way, but what I'm trying to do is just show you a lot of different ideas that you can use to transform your existing home decor. You are about to see once again why I love this glaze. If you love primitive pumpkins, those dark moody ones, or maybe you just want to tone down something bright, some of your existing fall decor or Halloween decor, this works wonders. I am so sorry about the shaking and the blurred focus, but look how the color changes. Now, I didn't clear coat the paint first, which allows the glaze to soak in a bit. But again, if you use a damp paper towel, you can remove more glaze and reveal the colors underneath. I like using this glaze product because it's a little bit more versatile than a wax for some projects or on certain layers of a project. And you can see why I almost always layer my paint, because this glaze settles into those little cracks and crevices and creates so much dimension. Now, if you are someone who likes very clean lines and using just one color of paint, maybe like a spray paint, you probably won't even like my channel, but I know that my kindred spirits are out there and that we can all appreciate an old world, antique, perfectly imperfect paint finish. Of course, you can always add more glaze back to your project if you decide to reveal less of those underneath colors and just keep it on the darker side. I am almost done with these little pumpkins, but I wanted to add one of my favorite colors, which is a vintage turquoise. And I didn't have that color on hand, so I created it by mixing the chalk paint colors Celery and Peacock. They are both by Waverly, and then I added a touch of Starlight Gold. That combination of paint created this gorgeous color. I do like to test my paint color sometimes, and I do that on an inconspicuous area. That way you can see if you like it before you start applying it all over your project. I do already have several layers on these pumpkins, including some wax and that Dixie Belle dirt. So I'm just going to barely add a hint of this color because I love seeing all of the existing layers that we've already applied. If you want to add a certain color in your fall decor this year, but you don't really want to go out and buy a lot of new items in that color, just go out and grab a little bit of paint in that color that you love so much that you want to add, and just add hints of it to some of your already existing decor. You can always change it back again or change it to a completely different color next year. Again, my ring light is really blasting out the color here, but hopefully you can see the difference. I love all colors of greens and turquoises. And I painted the other one to match, and I think that I will consider those done. All right, let's explore a few more products and color options on our Mr. Turkey. I thrifted a few new cans of wax at a local Habitat Restore for only $7 each. Most of you know that wax is a great way to age, darken, and tone down your paint finishes. So if you want to do a gold finish and it seems to be a little bit too bright, just add a little dark wax and you can dull down that shine. And when you add dark wax over certain gold paint colors, it will give you an antique brass look. I wanted to test out the two other colors of Dixie Belle Dirt, and I wanted to do it over this dark wax. So first, I tried the charcoal color, which I think would probably be better over a different paint color. I may end up trying this on some other paint finishes in another video, but I think that the color Earth might work a little bit better. But because I had already applied charcoal to half of the turkey, I decided to go ahead and add it all over so it was even. I used a damp paper towel to wipe off any excess and really as much of that color as I could. Since the wax is what makes Dixie Belle Dirt stick, I had to apply a little bit more, and I mainly focused down in the deeper crevices on the turkey. And then I was able to apply Dixie Belle Dirt, but this time in the color Earth. And then again, I wiped and brushed off any excess product. Clear wax is also a great way to remove any excess dark wax, but here I used a tiny bit on a brush and that helped remove some of the excess Dixie Belle Dirt as well. Now, it usually isn't a good idea to paint over wax, I can agree with that, but I do it all the time, especially on smaller decorative pieces. And that is exactly what I did here. I know many of us love decorating with brass, but we also love copper, don't we? So guess what? No problem. Just grab one of your favorite copper paints, whichever color you like, and you can just dry brush right over top of all of those existing layers that we already have on here. The change is immediate and it is so pretty. I turned my ring light down just a little bit because I was painting at night, but I wanted you to see the color a little bit better. Here are a few samples of some other copper colors. They look great by themselves, but they look a little bit richer over a black paint, and then pretty much the same over a dark brown paint. And guess what? This poor turkey isn't done yet. Now, after all of that layering and painting on this jack-o'-lantern, I realized that I really didn't love the color, and I did not like the stem being a different color than the rest of the pumpkin. And then I decided that I just wanted to go with a completely different look. I wanted a lighter, whitewashed look. And so I decided to take one of my other favorite paints, which is Chiffon Cream Chalk Paint by Rust-Oleum, and I painted over everything. And you know what? It's okay. It is totally okay to change your mind. And it's perfectly acceptable to completely switch course and go in a different direction with your home decor. You should be creative and you should have fun decorating your home, and you should get excited about celebrating each season. You should make your home feel special for you, your family, your guests, or anyone that comes to your house. Now, will spending 30 hours painting a jack-o'-lantern and turkey create that festive ambiance? I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you that having OCD to the point that I had to paint the stem orange so it would look the same underneath the whitewash is worth the extra effort, so there's that. But look how this turned out. All of those yummy layers and colors are still there. They're just beneath a nice fresh whitewash. All right, we have put this turkey through a lot of different looks so far, but where will he end up? Well, at first I thought I would try another warm wood look in a little bit lighter color. And so I started painting him in this caramel color. And then after the caramel color, I decided that I would add some yellow because he wasn't warm enough. And then I decided to add the glaze on top of it to see how that looked. But after finishing my other projects and then also seeing a few turkeys on Pinterest that I really liked, I decided to go for a lighter look on the turkey as well. I watered down some chiffon cream chalk paint and used that as my first layer. I thought that that might work in creating that whitewash look that I wanted. But after I let the paint dry overnight, it wasn't quite what I wanted. It almost had a little bit of a gray tint to it just because it was white over the other colors that I had underneath with all of that Dixie Belle dust. And so I wanted something a lot creamier. So I took chiffon cream chalk paint and I added a touch of caramel paint and that Starlight Gold, both of which we used earlier in the video. The last layer that I wanted to add to the turkey was just a tiny bit of that same glaze. Now normally I'm trying to get it in the creases, but here I'm adding it just to the tips of the wings to add a little bit of warmth back to the ends of the feathers. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of the makeovers. Let me grab the items and hold them up so you can kind of see what they look like in this lighting. The lighting up in my studio is not the best. I have the ring light here as well. It's just kind of dark up there and sometimes the lighting's a little off, so let me grab the items and show you. So that's how they turned out, and I think they look old and weathered and muted, and I just love those blue-green colors all mixed together, so I'm really happy with how these turned out. Now, if you remember what they looked like in the beginning, they were very pretty, and I did like that look, and I love a whitewash look, but I really do like how these turned out, and like I said, I got these for right around $2 a piece. I think they're normally $21.99 or something like that. So yeah, for right around $2 a piece. So I didn't think that was too bad, and I like how they turned out. And here's the jack-o'-lantern. I know I already showed this kind of close up, but this is how he turned out. I don't know if it's really coming across very well. He's actually a pretty good size. It's very heavy. So I did pay $10 for him, and I really think that you can probably go to a store and buy one already painted how you like for 20, maybe 30, I don't know. But I really enjoyed the process and painting him anyway, so I like his little face. And I really like how all of those creamy, orangey colors look. Anyway, that's how that turned out. And I really like the washed look. I thought about painting the inside, maybe a gold, so that when I put a candle in there, it would maybe glow a little bit more, but we'll see. I'm not quite at that point, so if I do have to tweak it, I will share that in an upcoming video when I'm decorating. All right, and here's the turkey. So this poor thing has been painted so many times, but this is how it ended up, and I think it'll go well with the home decor that I'm going to be using this year for the fall. Let's see if I can get a close-up. I basically did a really creamy whitewash and did a lot of rub off on the paint so you could see all those layers underneath, or at least some of them. And then I did take that glaze and add it to the very tips just to bring back some of that warmth and age, but I didn't want to get the glaze on the off-white color. So that's how he turned out, and I'm kind of happy with that. I think it's going to look really pretty with the rest of the decor. And again, there's so many different ways you can do this. I can use him like this year, and if I do something different next year, I can, of course, tweak the paint or just get a different one. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your love and support. I hope everyone is enjoying the end of summer and you're getting ready for the upcoming fall season. I will probably be decorating the mantle for the next video, and I can't wait to see you then. So I better get to bringing down the rest of my fall decor. So until then, bye for now.